Britain once exported its language, customs, and power across the Atlantic. Now America is quietly sending something back, and the British are happily making room for it. From cooler homes to country music, familiar British life is gaining an unmistakable American accent. Why are ideas once dismissed as too American suddenly becoming irresistible? And what does it say when Britain begins borrowing from the country it is so often told to criticize? Britain goes forth. Britain once ruled the colonies, yet today some of its busiest streets are hanging American flags, serving Independence Day specials, and welcoming July 4th with the enthusiasm of a neighborhood cookout in Ohio. History apparently has a sense of humor, and it has arrived carrying barbecue sauce. This growing fascination says something far more interesting than simple tourism. For years, much of Europe has encountered America through headlines built around division, danger, and political noise. That image can make the United States seem exhausting before anyone has even stepped off the plane. Yet when international visitors arrive during a huge event, such as the 2026 World Cup, the country they meet is often warmer, friendlier, and more enjoyable than the version they had been prepared to expect. They see strangers helping with directions, families talking across restaurant tables, flags displayed without embarrassment, and public celebrations that invite everyone to join. The American habit of turning an ordinary date into a full community event can feel wonderfully unfamiliar to visitors from countries where national pride is usually expressed with more restraint. In London, Paris, or Berlin, patriotism often appears mainly during royal occasions, football tournaments, or major anniversaries. In the United States, it can show up beside a grocery store, outside a family home, or on a paper plate holding a burger. That openness is part of what Britain is beginning to borrow. 4th of July events now appear in places visited by many Americans, including London restaurants and historic destinations such as Bath. British businesses are not suddenly celebrating their own defeat in the 18th century. They are recognizing that American traditions create an atmosphere people genuinely enjoy. Music, food, bright colors, shared jokes, and an excuse to gather without needing a complicated reason.
4th of July, now is Super Bowl!
Okay, so I'm here in America celebrating America's birthday. 250th birthday. Check this out. Whoa, look at all the horses. 4th of July goes crazy. Wow, this is insane to see. Everyone's out here camping, sitting around, watching the parade. This is truly patriotic. Happy birthday, America.
I'm a Brit living in America, and I'm convinced no one loves their country more than Americans love the USA. USA. There's something so special about the 4th of July and everyone coming out to celebrate America. I've never seen anything like it.
There's something especially charming about seeing the stars and stripes near buildings older than the United States itself. The contrast feels like George Washington accidentally wandered into a Jane Austen novel and brought enough hot dogs for everyone. Nobody needs to rewrite history for the moment to work. Britain keeps its old stones, America brings the party, and both sides appear perfectly comfortable laughing about the arrangement. The appeal also reaches beyond decorations and theme menus. American celebrations are unusually easy to understand because participation requires almost no instruction. Wear something red, white, or blue, find a grill, listen to music, and behave as though fireworks are a reasonable way to end dinner. Visitors do not have to understand every historical detail before feeling included, which may explain why the tradition travels so easily. For Americans watching Britain adopt pieces of July 4th culture, the message is quietly satisfying. The country so often reduced to negative headlines has created customs that people elsewhere actively choose to experience. After spending time in America, many visitors begin to understand that its confidence is rarely about claiming perfection. It is about giving ordinary people permission to celebrate what they love openly, generously, and with enough food to supply a small marching band. America did not need to persuade Britain with a grand speech. It simply set out the flags, lit the grill, welcomed everyone over, and allowed the atmosphere to make the argument. Britain discovers AC. The most persuasive American export in Britain may not come in a bottle, a box, or a drive-through bag. It comes through a vent in the wall, makes almost no sound, and turns a sticky room into a place where human beings can once again make reasonable decisions. Air conditioning is beginning to gain ground in Britain, and the timing is hardly mysterious. The country has faced longer stretches of hot weather, while the source material notes 3 major heat waves in a single year. In a place where many homes were designed to hold warmth through cold, damp winters, summer heat can linger indoors like a guest who has missed every possible hint to leave. Thick walls, smaller windows, upper floor bedrooms, and limited airflow suddenly become a very effective oven with curtains. This is where the American approach starts looking less extravagant and more practical.
Can we, as a UK society, accept that we need houses with built-in AC? Well, I see houses in America with built-in heater and AC at the same time. Like, are we the only country in the world where we don't have ACs built in? Why are we the only country with no built-in ACs? Everywhere you go, Japan gets cold, they have AC. Korea gets cold, they have AC. America gets cold, they have AC. Canada gets cold, they have AC. Why is it only the UK with no AC? Bro, global warming is there, it's not gonna go away. Can we just accept it and just move on and start building ACs? Thinking about the future, think about now. Think about now. Don't think about future generations. Think about what we're dealing with now. Oh God.
In much of the United States, indoor temperature is treated as part of basic daily comfort. A grocery store in Texas can feel cool enough to preserve both the milk and the customer's patience. Offices, restaurants, hotels, airports, and homes are usually expected to provide relief from outdoor heat. Americans may disagree about politics, football, or the correct amount of ranch dressing, but few people want to conduct those arguments while slowly melting into a chair. Britain has traditionally handled summer differently. In London, Manchester, or Birmingham, a hot week often brings portable fans, open windows, drawn curtains, and a national search for whichever room feels least like the inside of a parked car. People adapt with admirable determination, although determination becomes less charming when nobody has slept properly for 3 nights. That is why the spread of air conditioning can become surprisingly addictive. The first experience does not feel dramatic. Someone enters a cooled hotel lobby, notices that their shirt is no longer attached to their back, and continues with the day. Then they return to a warm room and suddenly understand exactly what has been missing. Comfort is dangerous that way. Once the body discovers it does not have to negotiate with the weather indoors, the old arrangement begins to feel strangely personal. The change is already visible in British hotels and historic businesses, where air conditioning is sometimes advertised as proudly as breakfast or free Wi-Fi. One establishment in Bath reportedly made a point of telling customers that cooling was available on every floor. That detail is funny because it reveals how unusual the feature still feels. An American hotel would rarely announce air conditioning with such ceremony. It might as well advertise doors.
Every AC is out of stock in the UK. Yesterday I was told that Lidl has really good ACs coming out for £149. We woke up at 6 in the morning and we're going to Lidl right now to see if we can get one. Because the heat in the UK right now is absolutely horrible. As I was crossing the threshold, I see the last person grabbing the last 3 units. I wanted to cry. I went to the lady, I'm like, are you getting 3? She's like, yeah. Everybody decided to get 2 and 3 air conditioning units. How doesn't Lidl put a cap on promo items? So anyway, my friend was there because he was the one that told me about it. And he's like, there's another Lidl that opens at 8 a.m. about 15 minutes away. Fuck it, let's go. Get there, completely empty. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna get it. This is it. An associate comes out. Oh, can I help you? We open at 8. And I said, yeah, I'm trying to get that aircon unit. Oh no, we've been selling them for 2 weeks. They're all out of stock. Then he says, but there's another one that it's about 20 minutes away that opens at 8. They will have it. Perfect. We were almost by the coast of England. Like at this point, I could have just gotten a boat, go to France, get one and come back. We get there. There's only one couple waiting. About 10 minutes before they open, people start coming in and they start getting around the entrance. I'm thinking to myself, do they know that we're on a queue? All of these people can't go in at the same time. I knew that they were getting the aircon because people were talking between them. Am I about to have a redneck Walmart type of fight here in the UK and tell everybody that we are on a queue? Well, that's exactly what happened, bitch. As soon as the doors opened, the multitude of people started trying to go into the store, and I'm like, no, 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 no. There is a queue here. We've been waiting since 7:30 in the morning, and everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yep. We go in. It was like the apocalypse. Everybody sticky, sweaty, probably haven't even showered. Everybody's just like walking like that, looking for the ACs. They were sold out. They didn't even have a stock. When I tell you, it was so disappointing. But at least I found a beautiful new town really close to the coast where I want to go back and see. I'm gonna have to suck it up, and it's gonna be another day of extreme heat in the UK. Guys, oh my God, I look like shit right now, but I got the AC. So listen to this. One of my followers had DM'd me saying that there was this one store that had stock. I had been checking literally every single day, multiple times a day, just refreshing. I left all of the tabs open so I could just go into each one and just refresh. I'm just sitting here and I get her DM on TikTok. Thank God I was on my phone. And she's like, it's available, go right now. She sends me the link. I go in, it says available, exactly the specs that I needed. 12,000 BTU, perfect. Start trying to like check out. I was trying to like put my information. They wanted to send me a code. I'm like, don't send me a code, because I'm thinking, oh my God, it's gonna run out. Put my information, it went through. I could not believe it. What a journey. I cannot believe this happened. This is a lesson to never leave things for last minute. I do have to say, a heat wave that we experienced last week, I had never experienced it before, and I've been in the UK for 3 years now. So it really caught me off guard. That is my defense, but I'm so happy. I'm gonna put the store in the description. They are restocking constantly, so make sure to check it all the time. Also, shout out to her. You know who you are. Thank you so much for literally checking. I think she already has an AC at home and she was just checking. She knew that I wanted it so bad. Wow, like humans are just the nicest thing ever. Thank you so much.
Yet this difference also explains why the American model has such influence. The United States has spent decades building everyday life around consistency. Outside, Arizona can resemble the surface of a pizza stone, while Florida feels like a greenhouse that learned to drive. Inside, however, people expect stores, schools, restaurants, and public buildings to remain usable. Air conditioning protects sleep, concentration, food, electronics, and the general willingness of families to remain polite to one another. Britain is unlikely to copy America overnight. Older housing presents real technical challenges, energy costs matter, and many British summers remain mild. Even so, once restaurants, hotels, and workplaces begin offering reliable cooling, public expectations change quietly. People stop seeing it as an American luxury and start asking why the room is warmer than the sidewalk. That may be the real reason air conditioning is catching on. America did not simply invent a colder room, it normalized the idea that weather should stay outside whenever possible. After experiencing that small piece of American comfort, even Britain's famous stiff upper lip may prefer to remain at a pleasant temperature. America renames Britain. Some cultural revolutions arrive with fireworks, giant billboards, and enough noise to wake an entire neighborhood. Others begin with a small sign outside a bathroom at King's Cross Station, where one familiar British word has quietly been replaced by an American one: restroom. That may look like a tiny change, yet language rarely moves without a reason. British English already has perfectly serviceable choices, including toilet, loo, and the more formal ladies and gents. Calling the same place a restroom sounds distinctly American, especially because nobody enters expecting to rest unless the train has been delayed for several hours. Even Americans understand that the name is doing some generous public relations work. The appeal lies in how comfortably the word travels. Restroom sounds clean, neutral, and polite enough for an airport, restaurant, shopping center, or a family attraction. It avoids the bluntness of toilet without sounding old-fashioned, which makes it useful in places serving large numbers of international visitors. At a station such as King's Cross, where travelers may be carrying suitcases, children, coffee, and a mild fear of missing their platform, immediate understanding matters more than linguistic tradition. America has always been remarkably good at producing words that work like universal road signs. Terms such as okay and hello began in the United States before spreading far beyond it, while American entertainment has carried expressions, accents, and everyday phrases into homes around the world. British viewers increasingly use season for a group of television episodes, even though series was traditionally the more common British choice. Nobody holds a national meeting to approve these changes. The new word simply becomes convenient, survives repeated use, and eventually stops sounding foreign. That process resembles an American fast food cup appearing in a British kitchen. At first, everyone notices that it looks unusually large. A few weeks later, somebody is using it to hold pens, and the household acts as though it has always been there. The deeper attraction is clarity. American English often favors direct labels that can be understood quickly by people from different regions and backgrounds. That quality becomes especially powerful during events such as the 2026 World Cup, when visitors move between airports, stadiums, hotels, railway stations, and crowded city centers. A traveler who has spent several weeks in Los Angeles, Dallas, Miami, or New York becomes used to language designed for immediate public use. Signs tell people where to stand, where to enter, where to park, and where to find the restroom without turning the journey into a vocabulary test. Returning to London afterward can make that simplicity surprisingly appealing. British language has charm, history, and local personality, but American wording often arrives with an almost cheerful practicality. It behaves like a helpful stranger in a baseball cap who has already found the correct gate and is waving everyone in the right direction. The media frequently presents American culture as loud, overpowering, or eager to replace everything around it. Everyday reality is usually gentler. American words spread because people find them useful, memorable, and easy to share. They slip into menus, station signs, office conversations, and television discussions without demanding permission or carrying a political speech behind them. There's also something revealing about Britain adopting American vocabulary in places crowded with American tourists. The change shows that visitors from the United States are no longer treated as distant outsiders whose habits can be ignored. Their presence influences how businesses communicate, how public spaces welcome people, and which words feel most practical in a modern city. The American traveler arrives expecting a restroom, and eventually the building decides that providing one is easier than explaining the loo. Britain will not abandon its own language, nor should it. Loo still has more personality than restroom could acquire after 1,000 committee meetings. Yet the American term has found a foothold because it offers something valuable: effortless understanding. America may be changing Britain one word at a time, and the cleverest part is that Britain often adopts the word, uses it for 20 years, and then forgets it ever came from America. One tap wins a British sink can sometimes feel like a game show with 2 buttons and no correct answer. One tap offers water cold enough to wake the dead, while the other delivers the opening scene of a lobster dinner. Somewhere between them sits the temperature everyone actually wants, yet traditionally, there has been no direct route to reach it. That tiny daily inconvenience explains why the American-style mixer tap is becoming increasingly attractive in Britain. Its promise is almost comically modest. One stream of water adjusted to a comfortable temperature before it reaches your hands. No complicated technology, no dramatic lifestyle revolution, and no instruction manual thick enough to stop a door. It simply solves a problem that British households have spent generations politely working around. Separate hot and cold taps developed partly because many older British plumbing systems kept stored hot water apart from the mains drinking water supply. In historic housing, that separation made practical sense. The design belonged to an earlier domestic world shaped by tanks, boilers, pipework, and concerns that modern American bathrooms rarely force anyone to consider. Yet a system can be historically reasonable and still leave somebody washing one hand in February and the other in July. American homes normalized a different expectation. Comfort should be adjustable rather than negotiated. Turn one handle or move one lever, and the temperature changes smoothly until the water feels right. The idea is so ordinary across the United States that most Americans would never describe it as an innovation. Asking them to praise a mixer tap would be like asking a Texan to review a functioning front door. It works, so life continues. That quiet efficiency is precisely what makes the feature appealing. A mixer tap removes several small decisions from an activity repeated throughout the day. Washing hands, rinsing a toothbrush, cleaning a cup, or helping a child at the sink becomes quicker and less awkward. The benefit lasts only seconds each time, but convenience earns loyalty through repetition. People rarely fall in love with household design during a grand ceremony. They become attached after the 100th morning when nothing annoys them before breakfast. The contrast becomes clearer in cities filled with older buildings. A bathroom in central London may sit inside a property built long before indoor plumbing became standard, while many homes in American suburbs were constructed around newer water systems and larger utility spaces. Retrofitting old British housing can therefore require more planning than replacing a shiny piece of metal above the basin. Walls may conceal pipework with the temperament of an elderly relative who dislikes visitors, and every simple upgrade risks uncovering 3 additional jobs. Even so, mixer taps are appearing more often in renovated homes, restaurants, and hotels. Their spread reveals how American influence often succeeds through usefulness rather than spectacle. Nobody organizes a parade for blended water. There are no foam fingers, marching bands, or halftime commercials explaining the correct hand-washing temperature. People use the tap once, notice that it behaves sensibly, and immediately wonder why the sink ever needed 2 competing personalities. This is one reason American domestic culture travels so well. The United States has a habit of treating convenience as a serious design goal. Cup holders, large refrigerators, drive-through services, wide kitchen counters, and mixer taps all begin with the same friendly question. Could this ordinary task require slightly less effort? European traditions often preserve character and history, while American design is usually eager to remove friction from the day. Neither approach cancels the other, but the American version can become very persuasive at 7 in the morning. The mixer tap is therefore more than a plumbing preference. It represents a small shift in expectation from adapting yourself to the house toward asking the house to cooperate with you. Once warm water arrives in one calm, controllable stream, the old 2-tap routine begins to resemble a disagreement that everyone forgot they were allowed to end. America has influenced Britain through movies, music, food, and language, but one of its most convincing arguments may now be flowing quietly over the bathroom sink. 1 tap, 2 pipes, and far fewer reasons to begin the morning annoyed, Britain twists back. A biscuit should not need instructions, yet America somehow turned one into a 3-step ceremony. Twist it, lick it, dunk it. Britain already had shelves full of respectable biscuits long before Oreo arrived, but respectability was never Oreo's strongest weapon. Its real advantage was participation. Oreo entered the British market in 2008, and its rise reveals something America understands unusually well about food. People become attached to products that give them something to do. A digestive biscuit asks very little from the eater. It sits beside a cup of tea, behaves sensibly, and leaves the conversation alone. Oreo arrives with 2 dark wafers, a bright cream center, and the quiet suggestion that eating it normally would be a missed opportunity. That small ritual matters because it turns a snack into a personal habit. Some people separate the wafers with surgical care. Others bite straight through the middle as though rules were invented for someone else. Children dunk the whole thing into milk until structural integrity becomes a matter of seconds. Adults claim they have outgrown such behavior, then perform the exact same routine when nobody is watching. This is where American snack culture becomes especially persuasive. It often sells playfulness along with flavor. The product is designed to be shared, discussed, customized, crushed into desserts, folded into ice cream, or used as the foundation of a cheesecake large enough to require its own parking permit. Oreo is less like a traditional biscuit and more like a tiny construction material made from sugar. Britain, of course, has never lacked strong biscuit traditions. In London, Manchester, or Glasgow, tea and biscuits belong to everyday life, with a consistency that Americans might reserve for coffee and morning traffic. Digestives, hobnobs, custard creams, and chocolate fingers already occupy emotional territory that advertising cannot simply purchase. Oreo did not need to replace them. It found a different role by bringing a distinctly American sense of fun to the cupboard. Its visual design also helps. The black and white contrast is immediately recognizable, even from several shelves away. In a crowded supermarket aisle, it looks less like a quiet tea biscuit and more like a product that has arrived with theme music. That recognizable shape travels easily across cultures because nobody needs a detailed explanation before understanding the appeal. The timing is revealing as well. When Oreo launched in Britain in 2008, American television, films, social media, and food culture were already shaping what younger British consumers saw as familiar. A snack spotted in sitcom kitchens or American lunchboxes no longer felt completely foreign. Buying it offered a small taste of a lifestyle people had watched for years, only now it came in a blue package and cost less than a plane ticket. The reason Oreo becomes habit-forming is therefore larger than sweetness. It combines contrast, texture, ritual, nostalgia, and choice in one compact object. The crisp wafer gives way to soft cream, milk changes the texture again, and every method of eating it feels slightly personal. The biscuit keeps offering tiny decisions, which makes repeated eating feel less repetitive than it probably is. That is one of America's quiet cultural strengths. It can take an ordinary snack, give it a personality, invite the customer into the experience, and make an entire country debate the correct way to eat it. Britain may never surrender the digestive beside its afternoon tea, but Oreo has already secured something nearly as valuable, a permanent place in the conversation. America did not ask Britain to abandon its biscuit tin. It simply slipped one playful little cookie inside and waited for someone to twist. Britain goes country. A London pub can tolerate almost anything: wet coats, warm beer, political arguments, and one customer explaining the offside rule to people who never asked. What still feels unexpected is hearing an American country song drift across the room and watching nobody reach for the volume control. Country music once seemed too geographically specific to travel far in Britain. Its stories belong to pickup trucks, small towns, back roads, front porches, and landscapes wide enough to let a chorus breathe. British listeners already had folk music, indie bands, dance tracks, and generations of rock history competing for attention. Nashville appeared to live in another emotional zip code. That distance is shrinking. The source material notes that England captain Harry Kane attended a country concert, while American artist Ella Langley later reached number 3 on the UK charts. Those details matter because they show country music moving beyond a tiny imported niche. Once a major football figure turns up at the show and a country singer reaches the upper end of the national chart, the cowboy boots are no longer standing alone near the coat check. The genre's growing appeal has less to do with British listeners, suddenly wanting to become ranchers, and more to do with emotional clarity. Country songs tend to tell people exactly where they are, what happened, who left, what was broken, and whether there is still beer in the refrigerator. That directness can feel refreshing in an age when some pop lyrics require 3 online forums and a graduate seminar to explain. American country music also gives ordinary life cinematic weight. A gas station, an old photograph, a hometown road, or a conversation in a parked car can become the center of an entire song. The United States has long been good at treating everyday experience as worthy of a big chorus. It turns a county line into scenery, a family memory into folklore, and a difficult Friday night into something thousands of strangers can sing together. That quality travels particularly well to Britain because the emotional material is more universal than the scenery suggests. Someone in Manchester may never have driven a Silverado through Tennessee, but they understand missing home. A listener in Birmingham may not own cowboy boots, yet they recognize the feeling of returning to the same street after life has changed. The details remain American while the emotions cross the Atlantic without needing a passport. The live experience makes the culture even harder to resist. American country concerts often combine polished musicianship with the atmosphere of a community gathering. Audiences sing entire verses, dress for the occasion, and behave as though the arena has temporarily become the world's largest backyard. Compared with the restrained cool often associated with certain British music scenes, country audiences offer permission to be openly sentimental without apologizing afterward. There is humor in the contrast. A British fan can leave a rainy train platform, enter a crowded venue, and spend 2 hours emotionally living beside a dusty road in Texas. By the final chorus, the weather outside may still resemble an unwashed dishcloth, but somewhere in the imagination, the sun is setting over a field and a truck has been parked with suspiciously perfect timing. American media is often exported through spectacle, yet country music works through intimacy. It introduces listeners to an America built from family routines, local pride, heartbreak, humor, faith, work, and the stubborn desire to keep going. That version of the country feels far removed from the loudest headlines. It is personal, recognizable, and deeply human. This may explain why visitors arriving for the 2026 World Cup could become more receptive to the sound. After traveling through American cities, meeting local families, eating in roadside restaurants, and seeing communities gather around sport, the songs begin to make more sense. The places described in the lyrics stop feeling like movie sets. They become real towns filled with people who wave, talk easily, and ask where someone came from before recommending 3 places for dinner. Britain is not abandoning its own musical identity. It is discovering that the American country tradition offers something British culture sometimes keeps hidden behind understatement: the freedom to say exactly what matters, and then give it a guitar solo. The remarkable part is that Nashville never needed to make country music less American. Britain began loving it because the American character was the whole attraction. Britain may never become America, and that is exactly why these changes are so fascinating. A word, a song, a sandwich, or a cooler room can cross the Atlantic and quietly reshape everyday life. Beneath the headlines, America keeps winning people over through comfort, confidence, humor, and experiences worth bringing home. Which American habit do you think Britain should adopt next? Share your answer below and subscribe to the channel for more cultural stories from both sides of the Atlantic.